Can't knock us down. Oh, hell nah. You can't knock me down. You can't knock me down. You can't knock me
down. News channel after news channel after news channel. Ever wonder why they report the same news? This is Wake Up America.
Brought to you by Citizen Stringer.
The media has become absolute lunacy. What makes us different? We just tell the truth. Daily headlines, politics, social issues, focusing on headlines that the mainstream media ignores. Conservative to the core and honest, sometimes to a fault. Unapologetically American. Welcome to Wake Up America with your host, Stephen Oatley.
Well, that's me. How you guys doing today? You guys ready for a fun, exciting news night? Because we have a lot of news. Anyone who's listened to the podcast, I just stared intensely at my screen for a minute. Man, oh man, do we have some news stories for you today. And a lot of them we haven't even been able to write yet. So we're going to be putting out a couple of articles in the next day about the stories that we're talking about tonight because, well, we just haven't had time. We're too damn busy. Too damn busy doing all this stuff. But first, I want to talk about Spartan Armor Systems. They are our sponsor for this show. If you don't know who Spartan Armor Systems is, well, you haven't lived. Okay, well, you're not living because if you had some of their products, maybe you would be living. Anyway, Spartan Armor Systems makes body armor. They're Tucson, Arizona-based company. They make some great body armor. They have their tactical sets, which I have. They sent me one of those, which has a front plate, back plate, side plates, a tactical plate carrier. That runs for about $5.99 on their website. They also have a concealed carry one, which you don't even know I could be wearing right now. Shit, I hit my microphone. But I'm not. But that one's much, much lighter, super malleable. It really is form-fitting. That's a level 3 plus, I believe. And that one runs about $2.99 with the carrier as well. So that's a good deal. And, it is America, land of the free, where you can get shot anywhere. Whether you're going to a mall, whether you're walking around at a grocery store, whether you go to see a movie, whether you're going to a nightclub, to check it out. Mass shootings are rampant in the United States now, and it doesn't seem like it's going to change anytime soon because, well, nobody addresses the elephant in the room, crime. So we're not going to be able to deal with it. Nobody wants to deal with it. It's just something that they don't want to deal with. But yeah, check them out. And you can check them out at SpartanArmorSystems.com. And if you use code YEET, you also get 10% off your order. So shout out to those guys. And please, guys, keep keep being patrons. Go buy their shit because they're an awesome company. If you're on a movie set, you apparently need body armor too. And that's gonna, let's make that our first story today. For anyone that didn't know, Alec Baldwin, yeah, you may remember him. He's the guy that did all the Trump skits on SNL, and he also really just did not like Donald Trump and always acted crazy. And he's the one that said that he had a dream that after the impeachment trial, Donald Trump would be hung outside of the White House with a guillotine made of masks. Or something like that. Yeah, it's an actual tweet. Now, Twitter won't take down those tweets. What they will do, however, is if you say something like, CRT is real, boom, you're deleted and you're banned. But Alec Baldwin and several other left-wing celebrities are more than welcome to threaten the president of the United States, at that time sitting president of the United States, and have nothing happen to him because, well, they're celebrities. Maybe, just maybe, something will happen to Alec Baldwin now because, well, he's a killer. Literally, he doesn't just play one on TV. He is one in real life. So a lot's come out. So for anyone that didn't know, he's filming a new movie called Rust, which apparently was a older movie, or it was a movie where I think it was a Western or something. He played some kid's grandfather or something like that, and the kid was apparently killed somebody, and the grandfather was coming to his rescue, some shit like that. I don't really know the plot of the movie, nor do I care, because Alec Baldwin would be in it, so I wasn't going to watch it anyway. But they're filming this movie. There was a lot of problems going on. There's an article by the Los Angeles Times, but they stupidly put it behind a paywall. Just literally, by the time I opened it to the time that I started this show, it's now behind a paywall, probably because I had a lot of traffic, and that's what these commie news outlets do. They put everything behind a paywall so you can't actually read it unless you pay, because, well, journalism is dying, apparently. So it's kind of interesting, right? Because apparently what ended up happening, he was supposed to fire blanks at people, and they weren't blanks. And I believe he killed his director and injured somebody else. Let me see, because I wanted to read this article to you guys, but I can't now. Here's the latest on it. So the film's director of photography, Helena Hutchins, died. Shut up. You can't hear it. Sorry, but the commentator was talking in my ear. Anyway, Helena Hutchins died, and director Joel Souza was injured after Alec Baldwin discharged a prop firearm on the set of the movie Thursday, according to the Santa Fe County's Sheriff's Office. One of the things that was interesting is apparently, this is alleged, but apparently one of the first things that Alec Baldwin said was, who gave me a hot gun? Meaning like a gun that had real bullets in it, which is kind of odd. A lot has come out about this set, where apparently the union employees that were there, filming, the union workers that were there, the production crew, ended up walking off earlier that day. Alec Baldwin was executive producer on the event too. They ended up walking off, and they brought in a secondary crew, which Alec Baldwin had to acknowledge, I guess because of union contracts. I don't really understand how that works. But long story short, maybe it was people that didn't know what they're doing, and he killed someone and injured somebody else. The other person, I believe, is in critical condition. The 911 call said, "We need some help. A director and camera woman have been shot." The woman also explains what occurred before the prop firearm went off, saying, "I was sitting, we were rehearsing, and it went off. I ran out. We all ran out," the woman told the emergency room. The incident happened around 1:50 p.m. local time yesterday. The Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office told CNN that the investigation remains open and active. No charges have been filed because, well, he's a rich white guy. Yeah, I'll say it. No, because he's a liberal. Authorities issued a search warrant for the property where the movie Rust was being filmed and are carefully combing over it the weekend, the Santa Fe County Sheriff's spokesperson Juan Rios told CNN. Rio said due to the sensitive nature of the incident, there are no news conferences. It's really weird. It's the whole thing is really weird. And then CNN has to, just do big articles on this. I was trying to find the original article. I can't do it. But apparently the crew was really pissed off. So we'll have to wait and see what happens, see if he'll be held accountable for the death, because ultimately the responsibility of a firearm should be in the hands of the person that shoots it. You can't, they're literally charging someone right now who thought she had a taser, but she had an actual gun. They're charging her with murder. So if they don't charge Alec Baldwin with murder, I don't know what to tell you. Our country is effed. At least manslaughter. Do something. You know what I mean? But there's no way in hell he should not be in jail right now. Does anybody disagree with me on that? Think about it. They're charging a police officer who thought she drew a taser and shot someone. And it caused riots and all that stuff. But remember that? The female Kim something ended up thought she pulled the taser out, pulled the gun and fired a solo shot, which killed the driver of that vehicle, which caused riots and all that stuff, or it caused violent protests. Let's not call them riots, because they weren't riots. They were just violent protests. But she's being charged with, I believe, murder now. They upgraded it from second-degree manslaughter. They upgraded her charge. Kim Potter, that's her name. But Alec, and she was a police officer, right? Right? They charged her with murder. How come they're not going to charge Alec Baldwin with murder? I'm curious about that. They definitely should. They definitely should. At least manslaughter, something like that. Someone said, neither should be. I don't like Baldwin, but it was an accident. There's no accidents in Hollywood. Everything is real. Okay? Nothing that happens in Hollywood is staged. Nothing. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know any of that. Here's an interesting story, too. We've talked about Afghanistan. We've talked about that over the past couple of days, right? We've talked about the Americans that have been left overseas. We've talked about how initially they said there were only 100 people that were overseas, and then we know that the rescue number was 136 after the United States troops pulled out. So they, independent, veterans organizations and boots on the ground, individual citizens on the ground have rescued 136 American citizens out of Afghanistan that were left there by the Biden administration. Well, now, new breaking news on a Friday night. Apparently, this has been widely reported after hours, after the press conference and everything. The Biden administration is in touch with nearly 400 Americans who are still stranded in Afghanistan, a figure that far exceeds the administration's claims that it left only about 100 Americans over there. With Afghanistan, the administration's rearview mirror, U.S. officials are providing exact figures on the number of Americans who are still stranded and want to leave, although they are doing so in private, off-the-record forums. According to two senior congressional aides who relayed the contents of the non-public call that went out to congressional members today, they are in touch with 363 Americans who are stuck in the war-torn Afghanistan and around 176 U.S. permanent residents who are asking to be evacuated immediately. Biden administration officials said on the call with congressional staff, according to a source who requested anonymity to discuss non-public information. These figures demonstrate the senior Biden administration officials routinely misrepresented the numbers of stranded Americans to the public and to Congress for 2 months. There'll be nobody held accountable for it. They've all just about stopped talking about Afghanistan. They're back on the insurrection thing. Oh my gosh, the whole events on January 6th are far worse than anything that happens, including the death of 13 U.S. service members, according to this administration. Those are not my words. Those are Joe Biden's words when he remembers what he's going to say. The State Department further claims that they have airlifted 218 U.S. citizens and 131 long-term permanent residents out of Afghanistan since the 31st, when senior Biden administration officials, including Secretary of State Anthony Blinken and White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, were publicly claiming that around 100 Americans were still stuck in the nation. Psaki, for instance, said last month that only a handful of American citizens were trying to leave Afghanistan after the United States pulled its forces. The figures presented in Thursday's briefing indicate the administration was citing around 100 talking point while privately being aware of nearly 600 Americans were still inside Afghanistan. Again, like, what do you even say? I can't be surprised by anything this White House administration does. Anything. There's nothing that they could do at this point that would surprise me, and I'd be like, well, I didn't see that one coming, because literally every single thing is telegraphed. Every single thing. There's even though this is worse than what we previously knew, everyone knew this. Everybody knows this. Everybody knew that there were more than 100 people, and that's why they wouldn't give the exact numbers. That's why they deliberately didn't it. That's why Blinken would stand up there, and General Milley would stand up there, and all those people would stand up there. General McKenzie would stand up there and not give accurate numbers. That's why Jen Psaki repeatedly just steered away from the question. And here's the thing, here's a criticism of the White House press secretary. I couldn't do that job because a reporter would be like, Steve, I have a question about this, and blah, blah, blah. And they talk to me with a condescending tone, and then I'd probably just go down and punch him in the mouth because that's who I am as a person. I'm not someone. But Jen Psaki, literally, if I was a reporter, if I was Peter Doocy or Dicey or whatever his name is, that sits there every day and has to listen to that condescending asshole every day talk back as well, I don't know what I would do. It's so frustrating. Today's press conference was increasingly frustrating. If anyone didn't watch it, we broadcast it live. Because she didn't answer anything. And she chastised everybody that decided to ask her a pointed question. Anyone that had a real question to ask, she's like, I'm not going to answer that. What do you mean? Joe Biden went down to the border and he drove through the border in 2008. Bitch, it's 2022. 2020, what year is it? 2021. I was looking at the date. It's nearly 2022. So you're saying Joe Biden went down to the border, crossed through it while he was campaigning, or drove by it. We don't even know. In 2008, that's the last time the president of the United States has been to the border. When's Kamala Harris gone? She's the border czar. No, she's doing stupid fitness workouts and stage interviews and all this other crap, talking about how when she was a baby, she said, freedom, stealing someone else's story. Yeah, this administration is garbage. Okay, there's nothing that I can do that's going to change it. I mean, I've come to that conclusion now. When this whole election thing happened and when he took office, I remember on election night, I said, I'm just going to sit back and just watch this country be destroyed. I'll be good. My money will be good. My kids will be good because they're raised by us. So they're going to be raised with the right intentions and the right whatever you call it, they'll be raised right. Look at the damage in 9 months. Look at the damage in 9 months. You want to talk about another thing with the Biden administration. So I have just two facts. He always says he added more jobs in the past 50 years than any other president. He's added so many jobs, you can't even count them anymore. Well, you know what's kind of funny? How, when you've added more jobs than all presidents in the past 50 years, if you've added more jobs, whatever he says, 5.5 million jobs we've created 5.5 million jobs, then why the hell is the unemployment rate still nearly 2 million people are filing unemployment rates according to September? In September 2021, there were 7.67 million people, unemployed Americans. 7.67 million Americans are unemployed in September. In February of 2020, that's the Trump administration directly before COVID hit, and that was a downfall. So that's after all the seasonal help for the holidays already got laid off. You had 5.8 million people unemployed. We have nearly 2 million more people that are unemployed now than a year and a half ago, and yet Joe Biden wants to brag that he added 5 million jobs. Can anyone not realize that those numbers are not true? Can anyone not realize that when he says he's adding jobs, those are jobs that were actually taken away in the first place? So you're not adding any jobs back. You can say you're adding back, but he doesn't say that. He said we created. You didn't create shit. In fact, you're still at a $2 million deficit of jobs. Our unemployment rate is still 2 million people higher than what it was, nearly 2 million people higher than what it was in February of 2020. But go ahead, Biden fans, continue on your path of destroying our country and pretending that everything is not what it is. Okay, because that's what this is. Every single day, there's just some sort of misinformation that goes around, and the media reports it. Like this morning, see, I'm going to go on a rant, okay, just for a little bit about supply chain stuff. I did it a little bit earlier. For anyone that doesn't know, I'm going to be on terrestrial radio on Monday, 8:45 if you live in the D.C. area. Don't know the station, but it's Fault Lines, a show called Fault Lines. They're also on YouTube. It's a political show, blah, blah, blah. I used to be on it a lot when I was doing the trucking stuff, the Freight Broker Live stuff years ago. But they called me today and they wanted some information about this trucker shortage that's going on. And my response immediately to them was the trucker shortage is made up. There's no trucker shortage. What we have is a bunch of people that are saying that there's a trucker shortage for some reason. And here's the thing. You have the ATA. And I'm going to go on a little trucking rant, so some of you guys may not understand, but let me explain how the industry works. All right? So you have a shipper, but you have a manufacturer, basically. Not a manufacturer. You have a buyer, okay? Like a Target or a retailer that makes a purchase order for a product. That purchase order goes to China, wherever the hell the product is made. The manufacturer then processes it. The product is then loaded onto a container and it's shipped to the United States. Once it's taken off, it goes to a port. There's a trucking company, usually a drayage operator, that pulls it from a port to a warehouse. The product is then, repalletized or whatever they do to it, and then it's usually taken from the warehouse after it gets to the port by an over-the-road truck driver, whether it's a big company fleet or an independent guy. It doesn't matter for the sake of explaining it. And then it goes to another distribution center. From that distribution center, it's then divided up, depending on where it's going. It may just go to the end user. But let's say it's going to Walmart, one of Walmart's 42 DCs. That product is dropped off at a distribution center. They split that product up, and then they use their own trucks, and they move that freight to all the other sub-regional distribution centers, which then you take another truck and it goes out. So that's how the supply chain works. That was a lot of hand movement while I did that too. So that's just how it works, okay? That's the supply chain in a really quick look, okay? But here's the problem. Our supply chain becomes cogged, okay? What does cogged mean, or clogged, whatever you want to say? It bogs up, okay? Because we have all these people that went out and purchased. As soon as COVID went, you hit the government with all the stimulus money. The government gave everyone stimulus money. It gave them the child tax care credits. Everyone's going out and spending. That's what everyone says. Biden's like, oh, everyone's spending. Pete Buttigieg said the whole reason this is happening is because everybody's spending money. This is great. Inflation is great. Oh, it's so wonderful. Everyone is spending money. So what it did is, because there's a backlog in the supply chain. So everyone went out. They had this new influx of money. The manufacturers were not able to keep up with demand. The suppliers were not able to keep up with demand because, again, nobody really knew that there was going to be this huge influx of money. So then they all tried to allocate for that influx of money. So they kept ordering shit. They kept ordering shit. They kept ordering shit. Then people stopped buying quite as much, okay? But all those orders were starting to trickle in. They came in through the ports. They loaded up all the warehouses. They went to the distribution centers. The distribution center said, stop. We have no room for that in our stores. The distribution centers then went back to the warehouses and said, stop. We have no room for that in the distribution centers because we can't bring it out to the stores. There's no room in the stores. Then the warehouses said stop to the port, or to the drayage operators in the CFS stations, container freight stations, said stop. There's nowhere for us to put that. You can't bring that to our warehouse. You have to stop. Then the port operators, they said stop. We can't offload any more of these containers because we have too many containers here already. So then all these boats are sitting out waiting in the water. Yet all these supplies, because again, it takes 40 days for a ship to go from China to the United States. 40 days ago, remember, economy's great. Joe Biden's up there saying, everyone go out and spend all this free stimulus money, right? That's what he was saying 40 days ago. All these manufacturers are buying up shit, buying up shit. It's getting on the containers. They're getting brought here, and they're sitting at the port. Right now, we have, 160 container ships sitting on the port of Los Angeles, or off of Los Angeles. 160 container ships. There's still nowhere for them to go. So now you have all these, Joe Biden has made this big, great thing saying all this stuff is at the port. We have to go get it. All these ports are going to operate 24 hours, except now all the ports, you're not seeing this in the news, but all the port operators are like, we can't operate 24 hours. Our guys are going to do nothing. There's not enough trucks to bring shit to the warehouses because the warehouses are all trying to get the shit to the distribution centers, and the distribution centers are trying to get their shit to the regional stores, and there's not enough trucks to do all that. Why is there not enough trucks to do all that? Because you got big trucking companies that all use this association called the American Trucking Association. It's the biggest powerhouse. They have seats in the White House. They're all the publicly traded big trucking companies. What they want is legislation that helps them. So what they do is they put a driver in a seat for 40 cents a mile. They go out and lease a nice truck. They go and do all this stuff. Well, in 2019, we had the same influx of freight, right? 2019 in the freight world was great. I owned trucks in 2019 as well. It was great. Made a shit ton of money. I had 3 trucks. But here's the thing. And I owned a dispatching company, and we dispatched 50 trucks. I was making sometimes tens of thousands of dollars a day doing it. I had 22 people that worked for me. It was great. But then the market tanked. After the holidays in 2020, the market, not 2020, 2019. So 2018 was a great freight year. 2019 is when it got bad. So what happened? All the market tanked. People stopped buying quite as much. Everyone got reallocated. They came to their senses and stopped buying all the time. All these trucks, all these big trucking companies that hired all those extra drivers to drive all those extra trucks, to handle all that extra freight, you know what happened? They went bankrupt. Over 280 carriers that had over 20 trucks filed for bankruptcy. You may remember one, Celadon Trucking, huge trucking company. 50, I believe, what was it? 5,000 plus drivers, 8,000 drivers, shut right the hell down. CHRW, it happened, it was all segments. CHRW was a big, they did Camping World and all that stuff. They shut down, stranding all their drivers. Celadon stranded all their drivers over because they just shut down. They went into bankruptcy and shut right down. So what happened to all those drivers? Those drivers flooded the market. Drivers couldn't get hired anywhere because they weren't going to work for less than they made in 2018, where they're getting lots of money. The rates tanked, right? So all these little independent truck drivers, which is my focus, all these little guys that heard on the news that freight was doing so great, let's go and jump into the freight business. Well, guess what ended up happening? They all lost their ass. They're paying they're paying $15,000 $30,000 a year on liability insurance. They're paying this, they're paying that, they're paying all this, and they can't do it. Freight rates are down right now, and the same thing is starting to play out now, and nobody's really talking about it. And I don't blame the media. The media has no idea. They don't have actual transportation experts on call. They're not going up and saying, "Hey, the guy that actually moves freight every day." You guys can't hear that, but I got a super chat.
This trucker shortage agenda is a push towards self-driving. They're trying to sell this agenda to people, like we can't relay on people.
See, you guys, I don't think you can hear that. Oh, yeah, you can.
Self-driving BS.
Yeah, but it's not. It has nothing to do with self-driving, and I'll explain that in a little bit as well. But the thing that's interesting about this is the same thing is going to happen. So now you have all these media like MSNBC. Who do they call to talk about freight? It's like, hiring the lady to be the new head of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. You know what she did before this? She was a consultant working on the Uberization of the taxi service in New York City. What the F does she know about transportation and logistics? Not a thing. Not a thing. It's just like hiring Pete Buttigieg to run the Department of Transportation. What's he know about transportation and logistics? Not a thing. He doesn't know anything about it. And that's why he does a shitty job and goes on a 2-month maternity leave. But the same thing is going to happen. Everybody's going on national television talking about this driver shortage. We don't have enough drivers. ATA is coming out saying we have a driver shortage. ATA for years, since 2000, I think it was 2013, the number one issue for the big trucking companies has been drivers. Either a driver shortage or retention, because drivers, other companies are stealing drivers because nobody can get enough drivers, because they're all trying to do it. Here's what happens for anyone that doesn't pay attention. What happens when you flood the market with drivers? When you flood the market with something, what ends up happening? The prices go down. So when you flood a market with drivers, the shipping rates are going to go down. The only ones that are going to be able to sustain those cheap-ass shipping rates are the big mega fleets, the guys that are getting deals on their truck insurance, or they're self-certifying their insurance as well, which a lot of the big guys do. They're the ones who are buying, instead of buying one truck and paying $100,000 for it, they're committing to buy 200 trucks and they're only paying $90,000 a month, or $90,000 for it. Or the guy that has to go buy a trailer, instead of one guy paying $30,000 for a dry van trailer, you get a company that comes in and says, listen, I want a discount. I'm going to buy 200 of these suckers. That's how they do it. So they drive down the rate. In 2019, the national rate for a driver to break even for big trucking fleets was $1.88 a mile, including the driver. I could tell you with 100% certainty, there's not a single solo operator that will be able to operate year-round and actually be able to pay all their bills, mortgages, and all that stuff for $1.88 a mile, including diesel fuel, which is skyrocketing right now. So the reason why they keep pumping this driver shortage in, and the reason why they're trying to get all these 18, 19, 20-year-old drivers to go drive commercially is because they want to move that. The only ones that make money when there's a perceived driver shortage are the mega fleets. And all their CEOs and their tech execs and all that stuff, you know what they do? They bail out. They run away. And then everyone gets lost, and everyone loses their job, and that's what happens. Look at the cycle; it happens every couple of years. This driver shortage thing, it's been going on forever. Here's the thing: you have independent trucking associations that say there is no driver shortage. You know why rates are high? That was the stars. I don't know why it's not showing. Bam, 500 stars. Thank you so much for that. That's Facebook stars. But and that's the truth. That's how the supply chain works. So they keep saying there's a driver shortage because they want the rates to go down. The only ones that'll be able to sustain on those rates are the big trucking companies, which then are not going to pass that benefit back onto the drivers. You know that driver pay in, I think it was 2004, was an average of $46,000 a year. You know what it is now? About $48,000 a year. So you want to talk about a job for a truck driver actually going up. We're not talking about the independent guys that get to set their own miles. We're talking about company drivers. Driver pay, detention rates, accessorial rates, like sitting at a dock, those rates haven't gone up in years and years and years. And that's something that should be concerning to every single person that actually pays attention to this industry. The media can keep saying it's because of trucks and this and that. No, it's because people are going out and panic buying. It's because people went out, and it's because all these manufacturers got greedy. They all raised their rates. Why do we have inflation at the time where the economy's great and everyone's going to buy everything? Because all these companies, they're all putting up a higher profit margin. Now the shipping costs go up. Everything it's a big circle. Supply chain, that's what it is. So when the rates go up, everything goes up. The rates that you pay for a truck is going to cost a bread truck, the rates you pay to get a loaf of bread moved is going to cause that loaf of bread cost to go up when that rate that trucking company has to pay goes higher. So the easiest way, so a simple solution to it would be just to, what? Stop buying shit. Get all these warehouses empty. Stop all the containers at the port. Stop all the rebuying for a week. Get all these warehouses distributing their shit. Because now what you're seeing is a backlog. Because Joe Biden gets on the stage, and so they send all these trucks. I know trucking company owners that sent trucks to California because they knew if you flood the market full of freight, guess what happens? The trucking rates are going to go through the roof. So I know drivers that I know trucking company owners that deadheaded their trucks, which means they sent them empty from Jersey all the way to California to try to get some of that freight. That freight that's paying $2 or $3 or $4 a mile coming out of those ports. And guess what? They got it. And they'll keep doing it all day, every day. And you know what? We're kind of setting ourselves up for it. We're setting ourselves up in the long run. But anyway, hopefully that made sense. I know I tried to like dumb it down as much as I could. I tried to be mellow, but it's fake. It's all fake. The driver shortage is fake. You know, them saying they don't have enough drivers because they want to drive the rates down. The rates going down does help everybody. It's going to cause inflation to go down because the cost to manufacture goods goes down, but it's going to kill small business trucking. And guess what? 88%, or I think, 92% of all trucking companies in the United States are less than 10 trucks. That should tell you the spin out. And then you got some bozo going on a radio show saying there's only 50,000 truck drivers in America. What are you talking about? Anywho, hopefully that made sense to you guys. Speaking of making sense, you know what makes a lot of sense? Buying our new ads. That's how we pay the bills. Oh, Kay Johnson with the stars, doing the neck dance right there. Yeah. Thank you for that, Kay. You know what makes sense for anyone? If you didn't know, our mystery boxes, we have a lot of viewers. So I'm going to here, let's time it. Can I do a timer? Shit, I can't do a timer. What time is it? Kay Johnson with 1,000 stars again. Thank you. So it is 8:03. So we're going to take a commercial break to 8:05, okay? And 8:06. And I'm going to talk about the new Patriot boxes that we're doing, okay? All right? So anyone that hates it when I do, talk about it's stuff we sell, go get water, go take a piss, go walk your dog, and then come back at 8:06. Anyway, we're putting out these are our mystery boxes. So if you ordered a November mystery box, don't do anything with it. Okay? Seriously, because you are getting something incredible. Okay? So what we're doing is our November, so I've changed the name of the mystery boxes because I realized a lot of other companies do these mystery boxes where they just throw random shit in there and then you end up getting it and you get a bunch of junk. That's not what I want us to be affiliated with. So I'm changing it to the Patriot box. We have the past month, I'll say, and October almost they weren't going to be the type of boxes that I wanted to send out. September's box was lacking. It didn't have as much stuff in it as I wanted to. So I'm doing it different. Starting with October, everyone who ordered an October mystery box, you all got an email today, early this morning, because I was up here bright and early working, and I said, your box is not going to be shipped until the end of next week. Why? Because I want to put more shit in it. And if you're not okay with that, then send me a message and I'll fully refund it. And the reason I did that is because I want to send out like the best box. I want you guys, when you open the damn box, you go, whatever that sound is that people make when they open something amazing and the light shines on them and all that. That's what I want. I want when you see some great shirts. We're gonna have veteran owned. I'll give you a hint. We're gonna have beef jerky in this one. We're going to have shot glasses in the October mystery boxes, and then in the November mystery boxes. If you haven't ordered a November mystery box, you're gonna want to, because we are gonna have the first ever Citizen Stringer Challenge coin in there. They're all gonna be numbered, so you'll know what number you have, and that's gonna be the only place to get it. And we'll probably do a variety of challenge coins over the next year or so, but that's the first one we've ever done. That's going to be on there. We're working with a different beef jerky vendor. Yeah, Just Christy 1970 with a $50 YouTube super chat. Thank you.
Your show, Steve. Much love
Thanks.
and respect to you and all the mods as always. Hope you got my email back.
What email? I don't know. Send me an email. I don't know what you're talking about. But she just chopped through like 20 seconds, so let me rewind that 20 seconds. So our new mystery boxes are great. They're still going to go out on time. We're still doing all the giveaways. You're going to have shirts. You're going to have jerky. We have another, and all the extra product that I put in there. So like the beef jerky this month, the beef jerky next month. They're two different vendors, both veteran-owned companies. You're going to get like cards. Obviously, this one I'm going to talk about in a second because it's a new addition to our team here at Citizen Stringer. But like for next month, I already know who the vendor is. We're going to get a sticker that gives their bio and what they do and why, how and where their funds go and all that stuff to try to support them. And we're going to do that. So the Patriot boxes are going to be completely different. You're going to have constitutions in them. You're going to have everything. Flags. Sometimes there'll be a hat. Sometimes there'll be a sick-ass mug. Sometimes it'll be this. But it's going to be a bunch of different stuff. All right. Anyway, let's go back. So if you haven't already, and the link's not in there, will someone throw up April, will you throw the link up for me? Anyway, all right, so that's it. I'll talk about the big news here in a second, okay? Because we have some big news in terms of our lineup. But first, let's keep going on with the news. Because just in case you didn't see, there's been some interesting news. What is going on? What are you doing? You guys can hear this. So, check this out. I just thought this was funny, so I'm going to play it for you. Does that show up? Yeah. Bam. This video's on YouTube, and it's funny, so watch.
This burger is nothing but bun.
It certainly is a big bun.
Since Biden, nobody can afford beef.
Maybe they're trying to reduce cow farts.
It certainly is a big bun.
Fuck Joe Biden.
Burger places used to give you a lot of beef. At Biden Burger, you get a lot of bun. Biden Burger, the only burger as empty as his promises.
Fuck Joe Biden.
It certainly is a big bun.
Isn't that great? I saw that today when I was just surfing around, and I'm like, you know what? I got to play that on the show. I don't even know who it is, but I was like, that is so good. Hold on. But, yeah. So let's talk about our next story. We are actually going to be coming out with a big story about this maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, because we want to get some comments from the hospital and stuff. But ambulance going by. Isn't it weird? I live in the rural community. There's never traffic around, but the ambulances in this town fly with their full-on sirens. I worked in Worcester on an ambulance. If you know Worcester, Massachusetts, it's a very big little city, but a lot of traffic, pretty much didn't matter what time. We didn't run sirens. We ran sirens when we went through an intersection. We chirped them. That's pretty much all we did. We chirped and we just didn't run sirens. These guys will run sirens at 3 o'clock in the morning on Water Street, which has zero traffic whatsoever. Jolene with 1,000 stars on Facebook. Thank you. Link to John. Thank you for that, putting that link in there. Anyway. So one of the stories I wanted to talk about real quick was a video that I came upon today. And it's interesting. I guess let's just say the least. This is going to, and I'm going to give you guys a trigger warning. This is going to piss you off, okay? It's going to piss you off. Apparently, a woman took her sophomore child to the doctor because he wasn't feeling well. Okay. Apparently, as soon as they walked into the hospital, a nurse greeted them, said, "Hey, he's got some symptoms. You should do a COVID test." She's like, "I don't want to do a COVID test." They knew based on the kid's history that he had sinus issues and stuff like that, right? Nurse was like, "Okay." They do all the tests on him. They determine he's got a sinus infection. He's got bronchitis and a bunch of other stuff. They go to then the nurse or the doctor comes out, or somebody comes out, a physician's assistant or a doctor. I think I just got a text message saying it was a doctor and not a PA, which is interesting because that's even worse. Apparently, a doctor comes out to write them a prescription and says, "Well, you're not getting a COVID test, so we're not treating you, and you have to leave." So, which I believe they can't do. I believe that's against the law. And matter of fact, I know it's against the law. You can't do that, especially when you begin treatment. It's a violation of your oath, let alone, federal law. So in April, if you're watching this, look up. It's because they take Medicare. There's a law. It's a federal law. Because they take Medicare, they're not allowed to refuse, especially after they start service. That's a federal law. I forgot what it's called though, but it is a law. But it wasn't a nurse practitioner. It was a doctor. We found out some more information because we're also talking with the people that are involved. So here, let me show you the video first. Okay. And again, it's trigger warning. I don't believe there's any bad language or anything, but it's going to tick you off because there's a couple of things that go wrong. One, they refuse treatment. And two, the doctor assaults the mom. Yep. Assaults the mom. You be the judge.
The COVID vaccine.
No, you need to come talk to me.
Mom.
Yeah, she just walked away from me.
The doctor?
Yeah. After they just diagnosed my son with an infection, they're refusing to give him medication.
I'm sorry, but I am the doctor here. This is our policy, and if your works here part-time, she was not aware, so she needs to leave.
Is she not a doctor?
She's a nurse practitioner. You can leave now without your phone.
Excuse me.
That is I can confiscate it. Should I call 911?
You don't need to grab my stuff.
Then please walk out. Kathy, can you please call security?
So what you're telling me is my son has an infection.
Can you please
and you're unwilling to treat him?
What we've asked for, and now she's videotaping everything and basically slavishly under my name.
Oh, I will.
Even the doctor knows. So this woman on your screen here is the doctor. She's not the nurse practitioner. The nurse practitioner saw her. Apparently, according to the doctor, the nurse practitioner was not familiar with the policies in place at that particular hospital, which, if those are in fact policies, they're breaking the law. But apparently, the nurse practitioner saw the kid, diagnosed the kid, even after doing what she's supposed to do and urging the mom to let them give a COVID test to the kid. The mom was like, "No, there's no reason to do that. We know he's got sinuses infections all the time. We already know that," right? So what does the nurse practitioner do? She goes out to talk to them. Apparently this doctor, again, doctors oversee nurse practitioners. They're one up. And there's a lot of problems between doctors and nurse practitioners because, well, doctors are scum. Not all of them, but this one definitely is. And so this doctor must have been overseeing the patient files, realized that the parent was refusing a COVID test for a kid, and then went out and said, "Listen, we're not treating you anymore. We're not giving you the prescription. We already know that you're infected. We know you have bronchitis. We know you have a sinus infection. We already know that." And matter of fact, I have the medical records. I know they do it because they actually wrote it down. They actually wrote it down there. So then what's the doctor do? The doctor comes out and says, "We're not treating you." Doctor goes back. You can hear her. Watch. Listen. When she walks away, listen.
Mom.
You heard the nurse, or you heard the doctor say that she's not going to be treated, blah, 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 blah. And it's because, and then listen.
The doctor?
Yeah. After they just diagnosed my son with an infection, they're refusing to give him medication.
That's not policy. I'm sorry,
See, the doctor, they say it's not policy. I guess the nurse practitioner was probably arguing with her, and she said, no, that's not policy. I'm the doctor here. I make the rules. I wear the big girl pants in this hospital, and I'm the one that's going to tell you what to do. Well, I would say, now I know the mom did file a police report. We're working on an article. We're actively talking to the mother. April is, and I talked to her earlier today. We're going to write this up. I will be honest. I did call this Ready Med in Indiana. Okay, I called them. And I asked them for a comment. They hung up on me. And I identified myself as a journalist as well. I asked if anybody had been terminated or suspended, and they refused to give me any answers. And then she's like, I'm hanging up now, and hung up. She refused to give me her name, too. I specifically asked for that. So, of course, I'm pretty persistent. I didn't give up. I ended up calling the actual hospital where it's a Lutheran Doctors Network or Lutheran's Physician Network or something like that. And so I ended up calling the actual hospital, the main hospital where all these people work out of, and I spoke to the head nurse in charge. So the woman that's in charge of the nurses and all their urgent cares and everything. And I talked to her, and she's like, I don't know anything about this. And I said, well, could I speak to your media? I was trying to be responsible as a journalist in asking to speak to their media relations, because I know a doctor, you can't, they knew I was a journalist. They knew that's what I was calling about. I clearly identified myself. She had no idea. And I could tell you one thing, this this lady that I talked to that was in charge of all the nurses in the entire network, she wanted to see this video. And so you know what I did? I provided her with a link to the video, and I said, you have my phone number, and anyone who calls my phone, you may know or you may not know that I have a voicemail that's been full for like 5 years. Okay, it still had an old company name and all that on. I wiped my voicemail, gave a new, because I want to know what happens. I gave her my phone number and I said, I want you to call me back so we could find out what is actually happening, whether nurse practitioner or doctor. That employee clearly right there assaulted someone. Is there anyone here believes that doctor did not assault that mother by reaching and swiping her phone away? Is there a single person here that believes it? And actually, and what's funny is on their discharge paperwork that they got from the doctor, it literally ignores it. It says that they wanted security and the police called to confiscate her phone to delete the video. That's literally what it says in the actual discharge paperwork. This doctor is a dumb shit, and she's going to get fired. But we're not going to give up. We're going to keep covering it, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. And I personally want to see that doctor fired. I want to see her license removed, and I want to see her never work in a hospital again. And I know that's not something a journalist should say, right? That's not something someone should say. But here's the thing. I was a firefighter. I was an EMT. I worked with shitty-ass doctors in my life. I've worked with horrible paramedics. I've worked with all these people. But the one universal thing, the one thing that I always saw all the time is a general care for patients and their families. You didn't have that here. That woman, and I'll be honest and say this, and doctor, you're more than welcome to try to sue me. You are not fit to be a doctor. The second you laid your hands on there, and not even before that, you weren't even fit. When you walked away from a sick child, whether it's a teenager or not, you walked away from a sick child after the diagnosis was already made and arguing with the nurse practitioner who wanted to prescribe antibiotics for that kid to make that kid better. You refused service because why? Because the kid didn't want to take a COVID test, because they knew already that this kid had sinus infections and this was a seasonal thing and they had to always go to the doctor. That's the medical history. They knew it always happened. They've done this almost every year. It says it, in the original comment, it says it. So we'll have to wait and see. We're going to have to wait and see what ends up happening, but we're going to follow up on it. And maybe this should be like a Nexus update where we just keep providing updates and hope that this woman gets fired. Maybe she will. Maybe more people need to tweet out the video. Maybe more people need to see it. That's and we're going to have a big article on it tomorrow. We're going to get some lawyers' advice as well, some commentators. If any of you guys are like experts in your field, lawyers or anybody, and you want to be quoted in our articles are way bigger than this show. They have quite a bit more distribution than this show now that we're shadow banned all the time. But yeah, let me know. Let me know. But anyway, it's very, very interesting. Some of the other news that we have to talk about right quick. You guys may or may not have known. So, and it's funny, I talked about Nexus services. For anyone that doesn't remember, I'm not going to go into a big story about it. When I first moved to Virginia this past summer, there was a bunch of BLM protests that were taking place in a little town called Staunton, Virginia. I went down there with my camera and live streamed the protests, and then I found a bunch of things that were weird. One, they weren't the typical BLM protests that we've been watching for over a year. Okay, the majority, yes, they were mostly made up of white kids and all that stuff, which that had a commonality. But one, there were 3 old creepy men that were following all these kids around. Found that kind of odd. There was a professional camera crew following all these kids around. Found that very odd. And every single one of these kids was fully mic'd up. Now, if you want to find out more about that, go ahead and search for Nexus on citizenstringer.com. Go just type in Nexus on Citizen Stringer in the search bar, and you are going to find a tremendous amount. I think we wrote 7 articles on them. Paid BLM protests, the whole immigration scam, or not scam, legal scam, whatever you want to call it. Well, I view it as a scam, but it's legal, so it's not a scam, I guess, right? Can you have a legal scam? Is that what it is? Maybe. I don't know. All right. So, and I got to give a little background on Nexus just to understand. So, you know how we have this crisis at the border, right? So, you know how all these immigrants are coming across, they're claiming asylum. Typically, when they claim asylum, they're locked up just for a minute. Previously, they were not just released onto the streets. They had to get what was called an immigration bond. So, an immigration bond means that a surety bond, like if you get arrested and you punch someone in the face and you're drunk and you get arrested and you have to go to jail and you have to put up a $100 bond, that's a bond, surety bond. That's what it's for. The difference with immigration bonds is you can't put like 10% down. You usually have to put the full amount down because a lot of people, 60% of everyone that's released on immigration bonds, they flee. They take off. So this one company came up with a very good solution. Now, they couldn't issue the bonds themselves because they're all convicted felons of crimes of moral turpitude, which is like fraud and bad checks and stuff like that. But these people created this bail bonding company. Ironically, they did it while they were in jail. But they found out that it would be very wise of them to start an immigration bail bonds company where they essentially act between a bonding company and a bail bondsman. So they go and they hire someone to speak Spanish, and they recruit these people to go in, communicate with, they advertise and all that stuff. So long story short, a guy comes in from Mexico, he gets locked up, he's got his immigration detainer, they know what it is. He then calls this family member. The family member would call this company called Libre by Nexus. Libre by Nexus answers the phone, hola, and then they go through their little spiel. They're like, oh yeah, we'll get your family member out. Oh yeah, and then they pick up the family member from the jail after posting the bond. They post the bond through a surety company and then give that money to a bonding company who then actually bonds them out. They can't do it again. Remember, they're all they're all felons with crimes of moral turpitude. So you could never get a securities license or an insurance license to do it. You wouldn't be able to. You've committed crimes of moral turpitude. Anyway, so that's the thing. Now, anyone can look it up. You can look up Libre by Nexus. I encourage you all either to go to our website and look it up. Washington Post has written about it. The New Yorker has written about it. NBC News, CBS News, pretty much every single news organization has written about this thing where they basically charge these people to get out of jail, and then these people think they're paying off their bonding amount, except they're not. They're put on ankle monitors, and they're paying a lease fee for the ankle monitor. I'm not going to go into a long conversation about it. It's going to take too long. I have other videos on it. Just Google it. You'll find it, or go to citizenstringer.com and find it. It's crazy because we also sent out the article and all the sources and everybody to everybody. We also sent it to Project Veritas. I spoke to Project Veritas and they refused to cover it because we did already. They refused. That was their terms. The investigative journalist I spoke to said, "Oh, we only cover stories that other journalists don't cover." And I said, "What? This is a story. We don't have the reach. I don't have an email blast with 105 million people on it. Why don't you cover the story? Maybe something will actually get done." They declined to cover it. So that's one of my many gripes with Project Veritas. And that's not third party shit. That's me. I spoke to the investigative journalist with Project Veritas, and she told me they'll only cover stuff if other journalists haven't worked on it, which is bullshit because, well, there's families at risk here. All right. There. So there's the Nexus thing. And I covered it a lot. You guys can go and look it up. But Now, what's interesting? So one of the main guys that's involved in Nexus, he was also involved in these BLM protests in Stanton, Virginia, and he had maybe had a vendetta against the Augusta County Sheriff, who they were protesting for body cams and doing. His name is Mike Donovan. Now, Mike Donovan, his husband, boyfriend, whatever, another dude named Wayne Schneider, who was on federal probation for, what was it, estimated maybe 160 counts of tax fraud. But, yeah, I mean, who's counting? That number is incorrect. It's well over 100, less than 200. I don't know the actual number. But he was indicted for all that, and he was on federal probation and all that stuff. And he disappeared from the protest when I showed up with the old camera. He stopped showing around. Why? Because he was on federal probation. You're not supposed to be around other convicted felons. But long story short, they all started organizing these protests. And remember I said that people had cameras and all that stuff? It turns out they were filming a reality show called The System, a really shitty show. All these kids that were acting the show were actually paid actors from Illinois that were flown here to go and protest. Now, Mike Donovan is a colorful character. You may remember during the Trump administration, there was some bozo that sued the Trump administration on behalf of the immigrant caravan that hadn't made it to the United States yet, saying they had a constitutional right to be able to be granted asylum before they even got here. His lawsuit caused so many people to go, what the fuck? That even Tucker Carlson called Mike Donovan and said, come on to our show. And so he did, and Tucker Carlson embarrassed him. And then the next day, an Antifa protest erupted outside of Tucker Carlson's home. Weird. Coincidence? Maybe. Who knows? Then a company actually sued Nexus Services for the bonding company, for civil rights violations for some of their clients. Yeah, there was a protest outside that business. Another company sued because allegedly, RLS was the company. They sued Nexus Services, claiming that Nexus Services refused to pay their bills in the millions of dollars. Guess what? A protest outside their company. So it's a pattern of protests and stuff and getting people to protest. When I was documenting the protests outside of the courthouse, we actually captured Nexus employees. They were wearing their polo shirts, which didn't make any sense, that said Nexus Services while they're out there protesting. I talked to one security guy off camera, but audio was on, and the security guy confirmed that the majority of the people there all worked for Nexus Services, that he was an employee of Nexus Service, that he was their security. I believe they ended up firing him and hiring a different security guard who would not talk to any camera guys, which is kind of funny. But so there, it's a big fraud, big paid for scam. They're just trying to make some reality show. They could give two shits about Black lives. And I know I'm leaving a lot out on that story, but I just can't. It would take me hours to go over it. Just watch the old videos, read the articles. It's pretty stunning. But towards the end of our coverage of those protests, we started seeing this group called Black Lives Matter 757. Now, you guys may remember them because we used to cover protests last year. Richmond, Virginia, Newport News, that kind of stuff. Virginia Beach. It was a group of protesters that were different than some of the other. They were loud. They were obnoxious. They blocked the traffic. They harassed everybody. They weren't looting or rioting or anything, but they were just a-holes, okay? They were just doing what the protesters do, just being obnoxious every single moment of their lives. And they were out protesting, so we would watch them, and I'd get really tired of it very quick because they were just super annoying. The main guy, Jafari, just that bonehead, and I couldn't really deal with watching it much. But they started coming around these BLM protests with this company, Nexus, in Stanton, Virginia. I thought that was very odd. I actually reached out to them, to BLM. I have their emails in text messages and all that stuff, where I was asking them, why are they there? Why are they protesting there? And they said, well, we were invited. And then I was like, why are you there? And then I started, digging more, and I found out that they were giving away cell phones to people who protested for 2 protests. You got a free phone with a year's data. I was like, that's weird. Where have we heard that before? Oh, Nexus Services, the immigration company. They give away cell phones to their clients, the immigrants that are paying the bond, because they can't use ankle monitors anymore because they've been sued in several states for the ankle monitors. So they switched to cell phones that track every single pen stroke, every single keystroke, every single thumb stroke, every single credit card. So they switched to these cell phones that track all the data. And they give those phones out, and then they charge a monthly fee for those phones, calling them program phones. Right? So I thought it was kind of weird. So I asked him in a message, and I have the message, and I asked him in a message, Jafari, and I said, hey, where do you get your phones that you're giving away for free? And he's like, What do you mean? And I said, can I have one of those phones? I'd love to have one of our data techs look at it. And he's like, no, I'm not giving you a phone. And I said, doesn't it concern you that you're getting phones, you're out there marching for Black lives, claiming that you want bail reform and all this stuff and immigration reform, all the same stuff that they chanted before they got involved with Nexus. And yet you're working with a company that literally profits off the backs of people that have crossed over the border illegally and then think they're getting out. There's quotes in the New Yorker where they say the immigrants said they got here with a coyote only to find out that there's more coyotes here in the United States. People have literally fled this company back to their country. That's how bad it is, allegedly. I mean, you can read the Attorney General of New York, Letitia James, whatever her name is. She filed a lawsuit against this company that's still ongoing, I believe, against Libre by Nexus, along with 7 other states for their alleged, corruption, whatever you want to call it. It's very crazy, right? But again, so here's the story. So I kept saying, like, dude, what are you doing around these guys? Like, I understand, like, I'll say that you care about the whole Black Lives Matter movement. These guys don't. You have to see that. We know that there are other Black Lives Matter groups from other areas in Virginia that went to these, they went, when they were Beacon, they all went there, and they met with Mike Donovan, they met with these people, and they said, fuck that, there's something's off here, and they left. Yeah, I've talked to them too. We have all that correspondence as well. So then it was really weird. It was really weird because then the more everybody talked about it, the more people, wanted to know. They kind of stopped. The protests in Stanton, Virginia stopped. Everything kind of stopped. The lawsuit kind of progressed. They can't really get away with doing some of the money stuff that they were doing now that they're in a part, survivorship or whatever the hell it calls with the RLS lawsuit. So everything kind of faded away. I stopped really paying attention until today. Because here's something that's very interesting. Black Lives Matter 757 put out a press release today. Yeah. And here's the one thing that's really funny is the press release. I forgot to mention, one of those BLM protesters that was out marching with this fake group of BLM protesters that were all actors on a television show is Bonnie Chapman. You may recognize the name Just Chapman, Dwayne the dog Chapman, the bounty hunter, the guy that was just, trying to chase down Laundrie and all that stuff, Brian Laundrie. Yeah. Well, his daughter apparently is mixed up in all these people. And it's just really weird. But she is now the public relations specialist with Unleashed TV. Now, Unleashed TV, it's owned by Mike Donovan of Nexus Services. Yeah. Unleashed TV is now making a new reality show called Bad Cop, Good Cop, where instead of following like cops, what they're doing is they're following radical activists with cameras that are going out looking for people that have been pulled over by cops. And they apparently, if I'm getting the premise right, they jump out and try to interfere to rescue the person that's getting stopped by police. Now, if that wasn't enough, and if that wasn't funny enough about, of a whole scenario, it gets better. It gets better. So when I'm looking at this press release, I'm looking around and I see a name. And it's a lawyer's name out of Newport News. Amina Matheny Willard. And I don't remember, I must have read something a while ago, but her name, rang a bell with me. And so I remember that she actually ran for the Commonwealth attorney for the Newport News area. And so she was in the news. She had some political contributions. They weren't big contributions or anything like that. But it kind of piqued my interest. So I went over to her law firm's website. And I mean, you can't make this up. Like, she must not have checked into this company. She must not have checked into Nexus Services. I'll be honest. She probably didn't. Because on the top, like, one of her major focuses on her political campaign was immigration reform. Another one was bail reform. And I'm like, you are literally getting in bed right now with a company that, look what they do for a living. Look how they make their money in all those big houses and all that stuff. Look what they do. They literally are profiting off of immigration. They're profiting off of the fact that there is no bail reform. Isn't that really weird? I'll be honest. I sent her an email, a long email, and I just said, hey, it wasn't that long. I said, I got a bunch of questions, but I'm going to keep it to one. did you research this company? And I said, on the record, did you research this company that you decided to partner with? Because this doesn't make any damn sense. Why would you think this is that's what I'm thinking to myself. Why would you think this is a good idea, especially for someone who's already committed to running for in 2024? She wants to run for that same seat that she lost in the primaries this year, this election cycle. Like, why would you think it was a good idea to do that, to partner with a guy that's currently under investigation? This lady's a lawyer. You could just go on Pacer and look up this guy and be like, holy shit, that's a guy I shouldn't be around. But yeah, guess what? She never replied. I sent her receipts too. So, and I didn't even send her our coverage. I figured she would just think we're biased and all that stuff. So what I did is I sent her the New Yorker article on this company. I sent her the New York Times article on this company. I sent her the Washington Post article on this company. I sent her the CBS News article on this company. And then I'm like, okay, well, I did my job. I did whatever I could do, just to be honest and report the real news. But I would love to get a comment from her. She didn't reply. She's not going to. I already know she's not going to. But man, can you imagine? I'd love to hear what that explanation would be. Oh, I thought it would be a good idea because he offered money or something. I don't know what the prospect is. I mean, he's getting sued by attorneys right now. He's getting sued. Someone said something about the RV. I'll talk about that in a second. All right. What is this? I'm just double checking on stuff. I think I covered the majority of the news that I wanted to today. I think, and I know I said I was going to do a call-in show. I can't do it with my soundboard the way I'm doing because I use Bluetooth actually for vMix. It's really confusing the way I do it. So what I may do, because now I'm not traveling this weekend to get the RV because, well, I got effed a little bit. They're making it right, but still sucks. So maybe I'll do a call-in show, a pseudo call-in show, like a Q&A show, just for the Citizen Stringer crowd tomorrow on Citizen Stringer, maybe say around 7 o'clock. And I'll jump on Citizen Stringer and we'll use Discord. And then we'll just have like a conversation. We'll broadcast it live to Discord. So everyone that doesn't have a Citizen Stringer membership, you don't need to get one. You just need to join our Discord. The link should have been repeated 50 million times in the chat over this show. But you could do that. All right, before I go, I have some huge news for you. Okay? Huge news. You guys ready? Have you buckled up? Are you sitting down? Are you standing up? Are you stretching? We have a new show that's coming on effective Monday morning, and they're going to be on twice a day, Monday through Friday. I'm excited to announce that Pete Santilli is bringing his show, both of them, over to Citizen Stringer effective Monday morning. So starting on Monday morning from 8 to 10 o'clock, we are going to have the Pete Santilli show every day, Monday through Friday, on citizenstringer.tv. You have to be a member to watch it live. It'll be available on demand for free. You don't need to be a member usually about an hour or two after it finishes airing. And then from 6 to 8 p.m. every night, Pete Santilli's second show, the Pete Santilli show, the late show, whatever you want to call it, is going to be broadcast. And then at 8 o'clock, I will start doing my show, Wake Up America, from 8 to 10. Adam is going to start doing a news show. Adam is going to be live tonight. But it's going to go on. And I understand people may not like Pete. People may not like me. I don't care. This is not the place for you to rant and rave about it. I think it'll be good. It'll help get some viewers over. We don't agree on everything politically. We don't agree on everything. It's not about that. It's providing different perspectives, and that's what I like. So that's what I'm doing. And so, yeah, his show will be only on Citizen Stringer. Will not be on our social media channels for, well, a variety of reasons. But he'll be on from 8 to 10 in the morning, Monday through Friday. And he'll also be on from 6 to 8 p.m. Only on Citizen Stringer. So if you're on YouTube and all that stuff, you don't have to worry about it if you're not a big fan. Because I see only a couple of negative comments. But I like his show, and I think it's good. And I met him when I've watched his show a couple of times, but I met him when we were out in Iowa. I talked to him about it. We've talked several times over the past couple of weeks, and then we were like, okay, let's do it. And so he's going to be coming on starting on Monday. Adam's going to be doing like a news, like his show is going to be live on all his social media and all that tonight. But then starting next week, he'll probably announce he's going to start doing like a midday news show, like just to get caught up in the headlines, do some goofy stuff, the same laid back, not like the news that we were trying to do where it's just stern, reporting the news, moving on to the next one. Nah, that's not the kind of style we do. And we're not going to do that. So yeah, it's going to be good. Adam is going to be live. I'm not sure what time he's going to be on. TW Lives is on here too. I don't know what the comments is, but everyone is talking. So yeah, TW Lives. If someone's saying you can email me, yeah, email me. I don't know what's up, but email me, bruh. Email me. But yeah, Freedom Flashpoint. Adam will be live tonight. He's back from Chi-Town. I'm sure he'll talk about that for a little bit, and then he'll go there. And someone said, the only problem with Pizza and Tilly shows, he's normally got a feedback buzz. He's not been buzzing for 2 days in a row. Oh, yeah. But we can figure it out. So, yeah, you just go to the live stream. So you know how when you go to our app right now, if you go to citizenstringer.tv or you download Citizen Stringer app on any of your smart TVs, you download Citizen Stringer on the Apple, or you download PT News Network TV on Android, you will see it under the live, the 24/7 live. That's where the live stream is going to be. But yeah, he's got a good show. It's him and his wife that do it. He's a career journalist. He's been doing in the biz for a long time, so be there. But yeah, so I'm excited to have him come on. It just adds a little bit more content, breaks the monotony of just watching the repeats of me all day because, Adam hasn't been on in a while and all that stuff. So is the new app on Apple? It is. Just look up Citizen Stringer on Apple. If you already downloaded it's hard. But here's the thing. If you go on Citizen Stringer right now and we're live, you're on the right app. If we're not live, you're on the wrong one. I know it's confusing. We had two apps. You downloaded one. We got ripped off by the development company. So we're still kind of fighting with them about it. But so far, it looks like we're winning that fight. And we'll have to wait and see. Get your Patriot boxes now. The beef jerky that's going to be in the October mystery boxes is going to be Pete's and Tilly's. Pistol Pete's beef jerky. So make sure you, and you can't order the October mystery box. That's just going out for the people that already ordered it. But you can get your November mystery boxes. That's the one that's going to have that custom one of a time, one ever. It's the first challenge coin we've ever made. That'll be there as well. So we'll go from there. But TW Live said something. Send me an email, bro. You said you're waiting for your merch. Yeah, I was going to send you something. But now it's even better. Send me an email. Because I will, I've got new merch. I think you have bigger size, right? 4 or 5X. I have, fucking send me an email. I'll send you a box tomorrow. But you got to send me your address, okay? But yeah, I'm just going to kind of relax. I saw someone said, I'm glad the old Steve's back, blah, blah, blah. Not more, but less, or something like that. Yeah, I am. I'm just going to be back to laid back self, who I am. Don't really care if I got a piece of hate mail earlier. It's like, you need to hire a PR person and this and this. You're yelling at your fans. And I'm like, well, they're not fans if I'm yelling at them. You know what I mean? They're just trolls. They're in here just to cause problems. Anyway, I appreciate all you guys for being here. Make sure you check out Just CBD. JustCBDstore.com. You can find them right there. JustCBDstore.com. Use code Citizen20 to get 20% off your order. Awesome company. Awesome company. Awesome company. Did I mention? Oh, shit. Oh, there it is. Oh, where is it? Yeah. Wait, what is going on? Why is it doing this? It's not playing the right one. I hear it. I don't know. I was gonna play his song, but it's not showing up anymore, so I can't do it. But yeah, I appreciate you guys. Steve, really do some music reaction. No, I don't do that. But See you guys again tomorrow, Citizen Stringer. Let's do, what time should we do? Let's do 6 o'clock. I know it's early for some of you guys if you're on the West Coast, but that way I get to spend some time with my family. 6 o'clock, we'll do an hour only on Citizen Stringer TV and our Discord, and we'll do live, and you guys could talk and questions, and we'll just rant about shit for a little bit. Sounds actually pretty good. It's usually better than a call-in show, so we'll do that, but I'm only going to do it on Citizen Stringer just in case people try to come in and drop the N-bomb or something, and try to get me banned from social media. That'll also be on demand. My show tonight will be on demand tomorrow on Citizen Stringer app for free. So if it gets deleted off YouTube because they're commies, or Facebook because they're commies, or Twitch because they're commies, always go to citizenstringer.tv and you can watch this stream for free. Even the members only side of things, when I do those, you still can watch the whole thing for free when we do them. But I appreciate you guys being here. We will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow, it's only a day away.
You've been listening to Wake Up America with Stephen Oatley. Unapologetically American and unapologetically honest. Join us each night at 8 p.m. for more daily headlines, politics, and social issues, covering the headlines that mainstream media ignores. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review the show. See more on the website at citizenstringer.com. And we'll see you tomorrow on Wake Up America.